Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Belly to Belly. And today we have a topic that we've wanted to talk about for quite a while, and it's really the Achilles heel of a lot of companies as they invest in trade shows and go networking and whatnot. And that's the topic of follow-up. And we've got actually someone with us today who I've had the good fortune of observing many people who are very good at follow-up, and Martin Balaam from Pimberly, you are in the top three for sure. So I really love how both you and your team embrace follow-up, and I think there's a lot of fun stuff that we can get into today that'll really be a great impact for people. So before we dive into that, number one, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And if you wouldn't mind, just so folks have context, if you could talk a little bit, just so people have an overview of what Pimberly does. And then obviously we can get into the topic.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. Pimberly is a B2B software company. So it's a SaaS product. It basically is product information management and digital asset management. So basically when you're selling any products online, whether that's direct to consumer or B2B through portals or whatever, all that product data, images, videos, documents, installation manuals, etc. Pimberly stores all that. It understands and makes sure that it's all complete, it's all of high quality and validated, and then it will push it out to wherever you need that, which most people will think about websites, they'll think about marketplaces like a Target or a Walmart, etc. But also it'll be needed in things if you've got a bricks and mortar store, it might be pushing product data to the digital signage systems, etc. Or if you've got a technical product, you might be pushing it to your sales enablement tools or to your customer success team that might have to answer questions about products when customers call.
It really is amazing to see the platform and just the variety of applications. What's the in terms of number of SKUs, the largest customer today in terms of SKUs? What's the biggest number of SKUs you're having to handle today?
Yeah, so we'll it does fluctuate, but we'll have customers, with millions of SKUs on there. We've got one customer with 4.5 million that sort of balloons up to 7 million. It's in fashion. And obviously every time there's a major seasonal change, they'll be loading up the new season's products, and then so you get a crescendo, a crest, and then it'll come back down, as it were. So you can touch up to 7 million products and then back down to 4.5 million. So yeah.
And amazing that they can have now the same information on every single marketplace and portal and social media that.
That's what ultimately makes it increasingly more relevant, as it were, for customers, as they, if before they used to just list on the website and you'd spend all your money getting everybody to the website, but now of course you've got all the marketplaces, you've got social media, you've got TikTok, you've got Facebook, you've got Google Shopping, you've got everything. And then if you go to some quite niche products, there's marketplaces for every product you can think of, and so suddenly if the beauty is you can pretty much touch every human on the planet if you want to. The complexity is all those get touched from different platforms, and if you want to get your products out there, it's a lot of data.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So, well, congratulations. It's really great to see you guys grow and see what you're doing. So again, our topic is follow-up. So, I guess when you think about follow-up, and you clearly prioritize it and value it very strongly, but why is that? What is it that makes you sort of so motivated to follow up well?
Well, I mean, it's firstly, for those that have got my accent, they'll know that I'm from Yorkshire. So we're very tight and squeezing every last drop. So basically, that's what you're doing, is that you've just invested in a trade show. You could have invested, anything from a few $1,000s to tens of $1,000s, so even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's not just that. The bigger the booth or whatever, the more people that you'll need on the booth. So it's all the opportunity cost of all that, people's time and whatever. So from that point of view, it's like I want to get every last ounce of goodness out of it. So, and unless you actually, it's like wringing a damp towel, isn't it? Unless you wring it and wring it and wring it, and get the last drop out of it, that's what it is for me. And also, my experience is you think you know your hot leads, you don't until you've followed them all up. You think, oh, I've got 10 hot leads, I've got 20 warm leads, and I've got 50 cold ones. And you're tempted to say, well, I'll follow the hot and the warm ones up, the cold ones, meh, I won't do that. But then you just don't know. My experience is there'll be one or two of those cold leads. If you don't, but when you follow them up, they'll be, hey, yeah, no, I'm glad you called me.
That, yeah, it's almost like when we were kids thinking about going to the airport, and there was the phone booth there, and we learned always to check to see if there was change in the phone booth. It's like it's sort of free money. But yeah, so what I hear you saying is, you've created this potential energy. Now it's really a matter of utilizing that energy. It's wonderful. Yeah. So can you take us through the follow-up process you've created, and also kind of an understanding of who's responsible? Because I think you have really a very interesting view on that, and really
ultimately, I mean, I'm responsible, aren't I? So and I also feel that you got to lead from the front, as it were. So because some of this is tedious, hard work, and if all you do is you say, right, to your team, right, you must do this or whatever, then they'll do it, but it's not the same as you rolling your sleeves up and doing it as well. So it all starts obviously before you go to a show. Most shows will, as a minimum, tell you which brands are going to be going. Some shows will tell you what brands and what the titles are of the attendees. And if you're very lucky, and there are a few shows that actually will share who exactly, they might not give you the contact details, but they'll give you the names as well. So what we do is that we'll, as a minimum, make sure that we've got all the brands who are going to be attending loaded up onto our CRM. Ideally, most of them are there already if they're targets. And then also, if we get the contact titles or enough information, we'll go searching on LinkedIn, to find out, see if we can actually do that as well. So it starts at that point, and if you do that before the show, then it makes life after the show a hell of a lot easier. So that's what we do, and obviously we use that to run some sort of email campaign. So we'll probably do, typically 4 weeks before the show, each week we'll be sending an email to those companies that are definitely going on from the list. And don't forget, people do turn up on the day, so you can't ignore the fact. And what we would typically do is say we're going to hit the target contacts for those brands, but also we'll look at where is the show. Let's say it's in Chicago or whatever. We'd then probably look at target contacts that aren't on that list but live in the vicinity of Chicago, because guess what, and again, we'd normally go a little bit lower down in terms of seniority for that, because if you're flying in, you've definitely got to ask your boss, unless you are the boss, if you can, because you're spending a day, you might have an overnight and it's a flight, so that's definitely typically a senior person. But if it's local and it's literally just asking for some time off work to go to a show, then you typically get the sort of middle management that probably can go. So that's what we would normally do. And also sort of tagging them on social media and things like that, if they're looking at, as in if they're saying that they're going to the show on social media, you're like, oh great, we're on booth XXX, love to see you type thing, and doing all that sort of thing. So that's what we do ahead of the show. Then post show, basically or during the show, we tend to run the policy of we don't want to scan everybody, so you do get some, and I get that, where they've got a lot of people, got the marketing on there, and they've got a KPI, which is how many people have scanned. I'm not from that, because I've done that before, and all that does is you've got a lot of irrelevant people that you've got, and you've got to wade through them, so what we tend to do, or I do now, is that we will only scan somebody if they actually come onto the stand, or walk past the stand and you engage in them in a conversation, whatever, and if they say they either are a target contact, with a target company, and or, which is even better, they're interested to understand what it is that you do. And the top one obviously is that they absolutely make a beeline for your stand because they've got a problem and they need it sorting, and you do get some of those, so which are great. So and then obviously when you're on the stand, the number one thing we found is get the scanner app. That every exhibition will have a scanner app. Get the scanner app because it makes life a lot easier, and do the notes. And really, that's one of the things for me is, you've got to keep notes. Every app will have the little bit, just have a little thing, and because, hopefully you're going to be talking to a lot of people. I certainly won't remember what I've said about somebody and whatever, and you don't want to be sat there afterwards. And the why this is so incredibly important is, subsequent to the show, you're going to be sending these people an email, or in my process you do, and you want that email to be specific and personal to the conversation that you had. If all they're going to get, if a contact's going to get is just a generic marketing email, hey, thank you for whatever, because guess what, everybody sends them those, but if you say, oh, hi Jeff, or hi Joan, it was lovely to see you, you talked about this issue and whatever, and you ask them where they come from, have they traveled far, and so when you're giving them an email back, you think, oh, I hope you got home okay, or you'd had a couple of nights in New York, or you had a great trip or whatever, and it means that you've listened, that you care, and you're a person. You start getting quickly a rapport with them, as it were. So the notes, take the notes. And so I was like, if it's a 3-day show, I'll be absolutely on my team if they've not taken the notes, and say, look, we've not got the notes for this, not got the notes for that. Let's get them in. End of the day, what can you remember? Because you can probably remember by the end of the day, and we'll make sure all the notes are in. So that's a big thing.
And then sort of post show, what happens then? You said there's an email goes out. Are there other steps after that?
Yep. So what we'd do then is, so obviously, what most of the time you won't have these content, so it's very rare that, but it does happen that a show organizer will give you the contact details beforehand, but certainly you get the contact details on the scanner, and so the next thing you need to do is go through those contacts. Some people will put Gmails on, or whatever, so you might have to do a bit of LinkedIn to find out who they are. Typically they will put their real name on. Some of them will be there, especially you'll get tech companies. Obviously it's expensive for a tech company to walk a show, so you'll find that they might have borrowed a retailer's badge ticket or whatever. So you've got to go through that and identify where the names and the email addresses aren't sort of like tying up, and then do a bit of investigation there. Then we get them into the into our CRM. We use Salesforce. Hopefully most of them will already be there, but what we'll do is we'll tag against them to say every company and every contact has got 2 fields. One is going to the event, and the other one is met at event. So going to the event means that we believe from what the organizers have said that they're going to the event, and met at the event is we actually met them and had a conversation. So we've been doing this over a year, and as you go through, you start building up a picture of who goes to events and who doesn't, as it were. So we'll then tag all those contacts with met at event. We'll also add our notes into our CRM, and then so that's getting it all sort of aligned. And then the next thing that happens is that there'll be an email that goes out. Now the top hot prospects and hot contacts, whether they're a hot prospect or not, I'll get an email from me. So I'll sit down and write those 30-40 emails. It takes a whole day, but it's worth it. So that email will then go out, because at the end of the day, if you've talked to the CTO of a $400 million brand, it should come from me. Not from, I love my account execs or whatever, but not from an account exec. Yeah. So The email goes out from me for the top ones. The ones that I don't send out, I get the AEs to send, the account exec to send an email out to them, again, very personalized, etc. And then what we do is that we'll give them probably so we'd send that out, if let's say the show finished on a Wednesday, we'd probably send that out, give them time to get home or whatever, send it out on the Friday, or if we know that they were on vacation or whatever, might send it on the Monday. And you can do delayed sends now. That's what I do. Delayed sends on Microsoft. I'll do them all, so I know they've been done, and with a send time on. And then the next thing that happens is that usually, you probably get, so like in this last show we did, I did probably 30. I probably got 7 or 8 responses, pretty much immediately, saying, and basically what for us, it's sort of like, can we follow up and would you like a demo type thing? Can we show you the product, or can we talk more about your problem? But basically, we want a call, So and what you'll find is that you've got those that follow up, and you want to treat that. I'll then sort of say to them, oh, thank you very much, via email, whatever. Let's get a time in the diary, etc., etc. And then those get dealt with by me or dealt with by the exec that sent the email. The rest, which is most of them, let's be fair, we then have our outbound BDRs, telemarketing team, who will then pick the rest of them up. They'll be allocated throughout them, and then literally they have a cadence that's set in the CRM that basically, you've got your dial day one dial sort of thing, ring the mobile, ring the thing, ring the whatever, can't get through, fine, wait a day, ring again, wait 2 days, ring again, LinkedIn, all that sort of thing, send them a LinkedIn connection, whatever. So and we then sort of I'll be then measuring and monitoring on my report, how many are going to pre-demo. So we have statuses of leads. We've got pre-demo, post-demo. We've got status, which is in dialogue, which means that we're actually speaking to them somehow, whether that's through LinkedIn, email, or literally spoke to them. And then we've got basically attempted or attempted sort of thing. That's where we'd actually think. And then the final one is what we call open, which means that we've not even called them. So I'll be looking at it and literally as soon as I set my BDRs off, 3 days later, I'll be looking and I'll be with the BDR manager if there's any of those that haven't actually had a call yet, and that's how we do it. And we just basically, it goes through probably a 20-day. So by the end of month 1 post an event, we'll have got to speak to all those that probably wanted to, would have been happy to speak to us.
Right. And what, how many, and obviously you're doing sort of multi-mode follow-up from email to calling to LinkedIn and so on. How many follow-ups will you do before, sort of the end of that month? What would your expectation be?
20, well, I know it exactly, it's 22.
20, so as many as 22 follow-ups.
22,
yeah.
22 attempts.
Yeah.
And that's a mixture between calls, emails, and LinkedIn, as it were. Sure. 22, mainly calls. Mainly calls.
My guess is that blows most people away, right? I mean, most people, as you know, give up after 1 or 2 or 3. Which, it's really. I love so much about what you do. Number one, from starting pre-event in terms of sort of seeding the ground, that it makes so much sense in sort of building both the awareness of people who are going, but also awareness of people who aren't going, and creating that connection around the event, and then of course customizing the email, really speaking to the individual, whether it was the challenges that they expressed or anything to help build a relationship, and then certainly the persistence and really the professional persistence. I mean, it's
and if any of the viewers have a BDR, have an outbound telemarketing team, they love the event. They can't wait for us to get an event, because don't forget, normally they're either cold calling or what we call sort of warm calling, which is, you know, that maybe somebody's interacted with your website or they've downloaded a piece of content, and you've identified who that was. Maybe it's a gated piece of content. You know, that's fine, but in the run up to a show, it gives them something to talk about. Oh, are you going to, especially if it's somebody that's local, you know, are you going to this, that, and the other? And then post the show, obviously, you know, they can talk about the show. And that's the other thing, sorry, I didn't mention, is that when we basically pass over to the BDRs, we do a proper handover. So we'll have, you know, there'll be all a background. You know, we'll talk to them about, this is the background. We'll show them a picture of where the event exhibition all is, so they've got it in their mind. We'll show them photos of our booth and us stood on the booth, etc., so that when they're talking, they can talk, you know, as if they were there, type thing. Yeah. So I mean, they won't say they were there, but it's much more thing. And when it's for example, the last one was literally a 15-minute walk from our office. We even showed them, we even put on it the little Google map with how close it was to our office. So again, it's just that little bit of personal touch, and it helps them when they're ringing, you know. And most people are pretty good at accepting the call and whatever, you know. So because yeah, especially if they've been on your stand and they've said would take a call, you know, it's what you're asking. Oh, are we all right if we follow up afterwards? Yeah. And nearly, whether they mean it or not, nearly everybody says yes. Yeah. But that gives you that psychological sort of contract between you that you're ringing for a reason, not just a cold call, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I really, really very smart. I love the orientation you're doing for the BDRs too. Easy to see where that would both get them motivated, but also allow them to continue the connection that was built at the event. So no,
well, I mean, they get paid on booking demos, and they love it after an event because they're getting easy money.
Right. So the quality is a bit better of who they're reaching out to. So since you've sort of, I guess, implemented this, how have the results changed for you in terms of, you know, whether it's conversion or from any other measure?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say for sure now we're more confident that we are getting conversions out of each show, you know. So and that's if, I mean, we're a B2B software, so the sales cycle can be, you know, if somebody comes on and they're literally, so we had some of those this last time where, and you'll always get some of them where, oh, we want one of those. We're in the middle of buying one. We never heard of you. It's just a big country, the US, isn't it? We've never heard of you. But you look like you've got some good brands up there. I think we should talk. And then, so they can be pretty quick. So we've had some that have come and literally we've closed them within 2 months. And then, you know, but a lot of them you're into your sort of like 6 to 9 months sales cycle, especially you know, if you're a large enterprise. But you know, you're now in the mix, you know. So and you're persistent as well, you know. So it's sort of like, not like, and I found, you know, in the US, people like the UK, they're probably ring the police and ask you to stop borrowing. In the US, it seems to be that if you're not persistent, then it means that you know, they take that either you're not interested or the product doesn't do what you said it would, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, what did Michael Jordan say? He missed more shots than any other player. But he also made more shots.
Exactly.
He was on the floor taking lots of shots.
If you're not in it, you can't win it, can you? So
it's really hard to win a game you don't play.
It's like winning the lottery ticket. Winning the lottery, if you never buy a ticket, you probably, I mean, you obviously save all that money.
True.
But you never win big.
No. Well, as an accountant or someone with an accounting background, you probably wouldn't endorse the lottery anyway.
No, I wouldn't. No, I'm not endorsing it at all. It was just an analogy for the viewers, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Martin, this is so wonderful, and I think what you shared has such a big impact for companies, and you're certainly proving it does. So that it's great to hear, and I really appreciate you sharing all this.
That's okay. Yeah. No. Pleasure.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, and we'll make sure to put all of your contact info in the description, and certainly, let us know if there's anything else you want us to share. But we're glad to do that.
Well, if you start listening to this and you've got lots of products, and you sell online or whatever, then and you've not spoken to Pimberly, you're missing out. You really are.
Exactly. Cool. Well, thank you so much. And to our viewers, like and subscribe so you stay in tune for the next episode. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.